That is a weird glow. That has me looking all ominous down here on the screen with the glow from outside, so maybe I don't need sunlight while I practice today. Maybe I can just forgo that. Let's hit start all, and that takes us to Twitch and Kick simultaneously. So now we are streaming on 3 platforms. If you're joining me on any one, I appreciate it. If you want to interact and chat with me while I'm working, Twitch is the way to go. That's the one that I actually monitor while I'm working. I actually think on my OBS I have YouTube, just no one ever talks to me on YouTube while I'm working. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize my OBS. I can't see you, or me, or anything. And, oh, that's right, okay. And then we go to, boom, and that brings up my Twitch channel. Okay, and there's a little bit of a delay on that. So if you are talking to me on Twitch and you type something and I don't get to you right away, either I didn't see it, or give it a minute, you impatient bastard. So I'm going to pick up where I left off yesterday with the art stuff. I'm using Mark Burnett. I hope I got the name right of the dude that I'm following. This is the guy that I do a lot of... don't get distracted. Don't get distracted. Learn to draw in 30 days, how to draw, art school. I'm not seeing his name on here. Oh, Mark Brunette. So if looking in the tagline or the description, I said Burnett. That's wrong. It's Mark Brunette. Dude is brilliant. He's got great style, good sense of humor, makes awesome YouTube content. I highly recommend, if you're interested in an art guru, to check out online to follow. Great guy. I really admire the guy. I'm jealous of his career. I think he made all the right moves, and I did not. And that's why I practice his stuff now. So yesterday I started off with the first bit of the exercise, which was to draw the skull that he shows up on either side of his head, and play around a bit with it. I spent about half an hour doodling this, and this is how far I got. And you can see like the proportions are wrong. Like I would say like this area, the lip is a little bit much. I didn't get into the details of doing the folds of the skull or anything like that. This area could be better. Overall, just the proportions. Like in that area, I did the same thing down here. Could be better. Decent in like this region, I would say that's okay. Could use improvement, but this is what he sets up as your initial pass, as like your test before you start doing the exercises. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch the nib that I'm using, or let's go to what, a pencil? What's that? So instead of using the drafting pencil, I'm going to use something that's actually closer to an actual pencil. What's this? What do they call this? The mechanical pencil, Mecha pencil, Moo Draw Mecha pencil. So I'm using the Mojo Moo art bundle in Krita. Kind of love it. And let's Control Z to get rid of all those. Check the line real quick, like that. Control Z to get rid of it. And use the eye icon to get rid of it, so that it's no longer visible, and then we are going to hit the plus, and that's going to give us another layer to work in. I'm going to go ahead and call this, rename it, Brunette, which is ironic for a bald guy to be called Brunette, but okay. Brunette sketch tut for tutorial, and bam. So oh yeah, let's switch back to the base so I have black instead of red. Try a little sketch stuff. Let's go ahead and do some lines real quick. Now I'm doing it sitting up and engaging the shoulder to make sure that I'm actually like using my body to create the lines. Just practicing motion right now, going for straight, without using too much of the smoothing option. Let's go the inverse and see if I can successfully draw in between each of these lines. Just shooting straight up, staying as straight as possible. So we went across left to right. Let's try going right to left now. Again, going between the lines that I already created. Get that muscle memory going. Up the muscles and the control. Now, for the sake of trying to make these as straight as possible, I'm moving my hand quickly. Because if I was going slowly, see how much more squiggle that is, see how less control I have, and shame on me, I'm resting my pinky. I should not be resting my pinky. Should not be making contact. But you see just how less straight that is, whereas you go quick, still curved, still not exactly there. And if I wanted it to be like perfectly straight lines as I'm drawing it, I could be using something other than the weighted brush smoothing tool. So I'm using a little bit of something, but not a lot of something. Alright, and then real quick, let's play with the eraser tool. Oh, let's make that bigger. So right now I have it small, so it's better for erasing fine areas. That's what I was doing with the skull that I was drawing yesterday. Doing a little bit of erasing as I was drawing in order to touch up lines. So we just want practice. And we want practice because I need to be working on my next cover soon for my next novel coming out. I did the artwork for the first one, and of course I get a few comments that are like, you should get a new cover. You should get it professionally done. If you want, I can do a professional cover for you. I'm affordable. Like, if you cost anything, you're not affordable to me right now. Like, I'm... Finances suck. I'm going to be looking for another job later today at some point, but that's not going well. Like, I got to start selling shit. I got to start selling stuff out of my house, collectibles, you know, and blood and anything else at this point to start making money. I really should have done that today. But, you know, the plasma donation center fills up pretty quick. It actually gets a very long line very, very quickly these days, and I feel like it's only going to continue to get worse in our current economy. So, all right. Opacity is 100. Normal. What is this? Yeah. So we are on mechanical pencil, not draft, and let's just get into it. Let's see what the
in under 10 minutes. And only once you've done that, or rather attempted to do that, and possibly failed, then you'll be ready to move on to day one. So for the first day of the challenge, we'll start real slow and easy. The goal will be to start by drawing a square freehand, as symmetrical as you can make it, split it in quarters, and use those intersections as guides to draw a circle perfectly snug inside. And real quick before we move on to day two, the idea with these exercises is to do one every single day. Like powering through multiple ones in one day is not really gonna help you much. Your brain needs the time to let things marinate properly. If you're quick, I would rather do the same exercise multiple times a day, you know, if you want the extra practice. But yeah, the idea is that you should be able to do...
Okay, so, to what he just said there, good point, valid point. I know this exercise. I've done this exercise before. I don't really need to let it marinate. This is a refresher for me. This is actually something I started doing in college. I believe I picked it up in college for drawing better circles, where you draw your symmetrical square. You can see that's janky. I don't have my corners touching or anything like that. You section it off. Again, practicing those lines. And then this is a trick that you use for drawing better circles if you want them to come out a little bit more even. And again, I want to try and keep my hand from resting on the mat, but it feels so cozy to just do that and then only work in the wrist. But really, I want my arm to be coordinated. It's sort of like a sword stroke in that respect. So go over and, you know, try small lines to do it. Make a fuzzy circle if I need to. Go over it again. So yeah, clearly I need the practice. With the medium and what I'm doing, this is something I need to be practicing so I can get better at using this technology and this interface. So I'm going to close these blinds real quick because I got this whole weird glow thing going on my face. Now, let's practice this exercise while I am brewing tea. So pop up. You don't need to see his face on the screen, and just practice. Now, when I first got this tablet, I didn't like it because there was a little bit of felt like a discrepancy with where I touched and where the where the line actually formed. And over time, it doesn't feel as bad. Wow, that was off. Again, off, and that's what I was talking about with a little bit of a discrepancy. You see, I'm trying to draw to the edge, and I keep not quite getting it. Change the angle. Boom. And still, that happens. And then we're over there, and we're there, and we're there. Yeah, clearly I need practice. These are some janky, wonky shapes that I'm doing. Again, going kind of quick. Get these square shapes in. That feels a little tall or skinny, depending on your perspective. If you're short, then you probably feel like it's tall. If you're fat, you probably feel like it's skinny. Not to make personal comments. Oops. But that's a trick you can use in order to get neater circles as opposed to just that. Automatically just feels better, but then that's because I've practiced, engaging the shoulder as opposed to like doing something like this. And this is also a weird tip for me to use. I think typically what I would do is I would sketch something out like that. 10 pixels. Is this weighted? I have it set for weighted. It doesn't feel weighted. Oh yeah, it's a mechanical pencil, so it's giving me a pretty solid line, which, the digital pencil feels a lot different than if I were to use an actual mechanical pencil. This would be something I could use more for like shading stuff, and I could smudge it in if I wanted to. This, I think I would actually have to find a smudge tool, which of course doesn't exist in Move Draw. So let's get back to it, because I hear the water brewing, and I just want to take my time to do this while the tea kettle is going. And I'm sorry, like I'm going to do more than this, but now I'm seeing how this is going and how janky these lines are and how digital and messed up. And it's like, you know what? I genuinely need this practice. I mean, look at how I keep missing this edge here on the left-hand side. I'm just consistently shy on it. And then going over down below, and that's that difference with the nib and the nib. That's the bit at the end of the mechanical pencil, not even mechanical pencil, the digital pen that I'm using. And there's my tea, and I feel like that right there is a better circle than, what I started with. Cover that. And you know what? We got some green tea with mango today. Quick shout out, Drowning, The Lonely Isle. This is my book. It's out now. It's available. Please read it. I need readers. I need readers more than buyers at this point in order to find out if it actually has legs. Drowning. It's A Lonely Isle by Jack Waltz. If you go onto Amazon, if you go under the link in the description of my bio, this is a slightly different cover with the words being more visible. But we are practicing right now, so when I do the next cover for the book that I'm currently working on, it'll look even better than this. Where do I put this? Okay. So, shameless plug for myself that wouldn't it be ironic if it was actually advertising right now and another advertisement took place while I'm doing that? Brunette. It's Mark Brunette. Mark without a K, with a C, and brunette instead of burnette, so it's less funny that he's bald. Let's do these little tags in order to section it instead of doing little lines between it. So let's play with a little variation. Okay, so resting the palm, bringing the cursor down all the way, all the way, all the way. Boom, we got to the edge, and that curve looks awful, but you know, we were practicing getting it to the edge, not perfecting the curve. Ooh, less great there. Let's bring this one around. Okay. So we know which. Ooh. And this is why we're practicing. Trying to get better at these lines. That is a wonky square. Up and around. Let's bring that up and around. Let's bring that up and around. Let's bring that up and down and around, up and around. That's up and around. That's up, down, down. Okay. Now, ooh. Let's go ahead and do a full page of these, and let's try going the opposite way. Let's go up and around on that. Let's go up and around on that. Oh. Let's go down and around for this curve, and down and around for this curve. Ugh. Again, could be better, but we're just going to keep playing with it. Oh, janky. Off sides, off center. I wish I could remember. I wish I was more committed to being more consistent with this. Because like I said, I've started these 30-day trials, these 30-day lessons with him so many times. And I typically do exactly what you're not supposed to do, and I speed through them. So instead of doing just a little bit every day, I'll do 10 of these exercises. Maybe do them 2 days in a row and never actually get through the full tutorial before. And normally I do this in a sketch journal that I try to draw in every day, and I'll start up and I'll be good for a couple of days, and then I fall out of practice again. I do draw just about every single day though. I'm pretty good about sketching something, about just filling up a page with doodles and practicing various exercises. I do a lot of just drawing heads, really rough base heads. Draw a sphere, set coordinate off, draw the bits, figure out the nose, the mouth, all this stuff. I'll do that a lot. And then I did that for years, actually, where I was just practicing drawing heads in order to get that down, and then started incorporating, let's do the neck, and then the lower back, and then, or the upper back, and get that throat in there, and figure out these curves. And then, you add clavicle, and that goes to shoulders, and clavicle probably want to go something like that, and then shoulders go into those and tuck in and stuff like that, and then start developing and working on the chest and building it out from there. But it's always good to go back. It's always good to refine and progress your basics. And I really wish the end of this thing functioned as an eraser. But that's typically how I start my sketches or my base work for building on and then doing images. And then you switch to a different pen and you refine your strokes and get more particular about each stroke in order to get your line art down. Steamy. Okay. Let's get back to it. Back to our basics, back to our squares. That it's more rectangular, but I'm gonna go with it. I'm still gonna practice the same bit. Like it's not. Ooh, messed up square. Let's go ahead and overline it in order to create that circular shape. So this is a thing you can do. A lot of small lines, and you just put them all together so that's somewhere in the middle of it, like where it darkens up the most. Like, oh yeah, that's the image that I want. And then you use an ink, or you pop in another layer, bam, and use, I don't know, something else, and then use that as your guide in order to get the shape that you actually want. And then you can use smoothing tools and stuff like that. But let's go ahead and bam. Get rid of that altogether, go back to the mechanical pencil, keep using the tip that we're using. I'm going back to using more of the scratch method. This is what I call like the sketch method. Like I said, using cumulative lines in order to give you the shape, the feel of the line that you actually want. But you're not really training your muscles, you're not really training yourself for like quick and efficient lines when you're doing this. Like you see that I'm making hairy circles now. But overall, the shape is better. And then you can go longer strokes for the areas that you feel a little more confident in. And that looks interesting. Admittedly, it has like that interesting like art feel as opposed to everything else looking so kind of crude and amateurish. Like that feels like it's got more of a professional vibe to it, and I can clean it up later with something else. But really, I mean, we're talking digital art here, so if I wanted to just have a perfect circle on the screen, there's a tool for that. There's a brush for that. There's a shape tool that I could use in order to pop in circle that I want. You know, you can even hit the shift button and all of a sudden it's a perfect circle. Look at that. I did it. But that's not what we're doing. We're training our body in order to actually do this properly. Go back to the brush. Get our dividing lines in there. Cordon it off. And this is getting us adjusted to, like I said, that nib, that little discrepancy that exists between where the pen goes and the tip that you're actually putting onto the monitor. I bought the XP pen tablet for my laptop, I want to say like 4 years ago, when I just started working Target doing overnights, because the pay was really good. I was making like $20 an hour. Stayed in that position longer than I should have, but again, the pay was really good. It was $20 an hour. And first decent sized paycheck that I got, this was the first thing that I bought right away. So I mean, this being able to do digital art on my own it's a big priority. Unfortunately, I don't practice it enough. I don't give it enough priority like I should. I've been wanting to teach myself Krita for the longest time because it's different than what I normally use. I went to college and I learned how to use Photoshop, which is slick and it's fun and it's fantastic. But for my tablets, I use Sketchbook Pro, I want to say, or maybe it is just Sketchbook, in order to do my drawing. It's a nice, easy, free program, just like Krita is a nice, easy. Well, I wouldn't say Krita is nice and easy, otherwise I wouldn't need to keep practicing it in order to stay sharp. But it's a free program, and it does have a lot of potential to it. In fact, I even believe it's got some animation potential to it. And it pairs up nice with Blender, which Blender you can absolutely do 2D animation in. In fact, you can do better than 2D animation in Blender. You can do 2.5 animation, where you're animating planes that exist on separate layers with actual like distance between them, and then play around with your camera angles a bit. Like, you can do amazing stuff with Blender. A lot of the new animations that you see on Netflix, or I even want to say like Into the Spider-Verse, is stuff that's done in Blender, which is, again, it's an open source 3D tool. It's something that came out, got its start over 15 years ago when I was in college. Played with it a little bit then, and it was so crude and janky and archaic at that point, and it's come such a long way. So as one of these days, I'll have to do a stream of following along with the infamous donut tutorial, which is like every time there's a new edition of Blender, there's a new donut tutorial that comes out. And my computer is already out of date. I've had it for 9 years now, I want to say. So I am due for a new one. I'm still running Windows 10, even though we're on the age of Windows 11. So follow my videos and subscribe and give me money. I need money so I can buy myself a new computer. You're going to hear me whine a lot about my finances right now. It's because, yeah, quit Target over a year ago at this point because I messed up my shoulder, and I felt bad for my manager and didn't want to file for workman's comp because I had injured myself. Like, I felt like that would give him trouble. It was one of the few nights that he actually took off when I injured myself. And I had already been pushing myself too far, trying to make money, trying to work extra hours, trying to push myself as much as I could, despite having my shoulder sore and ripped up. So like, I came into work injured already and pushed it even further, and I tried to tell the manager, and they literally walked away from me laughing about it. Like, just toxic female bullshit. I get enough of that in my marriage. And yeah, that took me out of commission, so I couldn't work for a few months. Couple of months, and then I fell down some stairs and I couldn't work for a couple of months because my leg was all twisted and trying to heal, and had a family member steal from me after being in my house for like 2 weeks and felt like they were casing the joint and was worried about leaving, you know, because of their shit. So like, yeah, a lot of bad stuff went on last year that got me out of the work habit, and now no one wants to hire me because I have such a bad job history and because I've been out of work for so long. It's one of those deals where the longer you don't work, the less people want to hire you. So, and I was not a good employee at Target. I refused to learn stuff for the years that I was there. I preferred to be on call so I wouldn't have like as much demand. I wouldn't be pressed for so many hours, and kind of regret that now. Like, if I just would have worked a little bit harder, if I would have taken on more responsibility, been better at communicating, could have made more money, could have maybe paid off my student loans, could have gone on vacation with my wife, and then she wouldn't have left me and felt like I was just using her throughout the marriage and the relationship. But yeah, that's me whining. Been a bad year. Been a bad year. I'm trying to fix my stuff. And I'm trying to fix my stuff by doing the stuff that I wanted to do the whole time. Kind of a year of self-discovery and growth. You see, as I'm kind of falling back into my old habits and just letting myself sketch and letting myself go over my lines a bit, like, things are coming out a little bit cleaner. Not to dwell on my lines too much, but like I said, you can use smoothing tools, you can use rulers, you can use all kinds of other devices after you get in like your initial sketch layers in order to make stuff better and get those lines that you actually want. So I'm already like regressing from doing the muscle memory stuff and doing more of like, how do I actually get decent shapes and circles instead of trying to do everything in a single stroke and a single pass. But, and this is just me being more casual. Like you see, I'm chatting more. I'm talking about my personal life and woe is me and all that shit. But it's coming along better as I'm just sort of like falling into it. All right. Cool. So that's a page of this. You know what? We got this bottom row here. Let's go ahead and do it again, but smaller, just a little bit smaller. So we want to make sure we're practicing using the whole page. This is an exercise. This isn't just mental. This is also very physical. Keeping the arm up. Working the angles, because this isn't like when you're working on a sheet of paper or sitting at a table where you can just flip stuff around and move stuff. I mean, even just the act of sitting up in the chair and getting that weird little bend in my back is an exercise. It's trying to build up muscle strength. So I can do this over and over for an extended period of time and actually start to produce artwork. That's what I went to game design for, like to be able to be independent. That's what I really wanted. I wanted my own company, my own game design company, my own IP, to put something new into the world, to participate in the zeitgeist, the ghost of an age, influence thought, influence growth, influence other artists, other storytellers. And now I'm kicking out romance, because I have gone back to books, which is a little bit of a weird twist, a weird taste. Like I got all obsessed with trying to get into game design instead of writing, which was my initial passion, my initial goal. Because I felt like nobody reads anymore. And it's pretty accurate. Actually, women tend to read more than men, and what they read is romance. Hence, I'm writing romance these days. Big eyes. That's where I'll put the nose. Jaw comes down like this. Chin comes down. Jawline lined up with the nose or the bottom of the circle. These eyes here are the whole area for the eyes. I can cut them in order to get the eyelids in. Eyebrows go on this line. Anyways, so back to squares. Fuzzy, fuzzy squares. Divvy them up. Watched K-pop Demon Hunters with the wife the other day, and I just got the song stuck in my head. Like I had watched it once by myself, and it wasn't quite as infectious as it was this last time. I always gotta be careful with the animated musicals, because I'm a crier. I'm way too sensitive. I'm too sensitive. It's just, according to neurology and neuroscience, my brain just works that fast, and I make these emotional connections so quickly. It's actually why I have affective empathy, or sympathetic seizures, or epileptic epilepsy. All kinds of, am I forgetting the word? I am forgetting the word. The thing where you got two words that start with the same letter. Yeah. You got the empathetic epilepsy, sympathetic seizures, where I can get so emotional about other people's state, I have a full-on seizure, which I think is the worst empathy you can possibly have. Like, oh God, I should help them. That's pretty pathetic. And I don't mean to make fun of anybody with seizures, but going, believe me, my seizures are far worse than that. They're so bad, when I have them, people assume that I'm faking. That level of seizure. Arm starts hitting my shoulder, head tilts back, like I'm trying to bite my ear, like it's awful. And you wake up and it sounds like the Chidori, like chirping birds. All right, so we did squares. Let's go ahead and rename this circle in squares. Bam. And it's invisible. Oh God, where'd it go? Let's make a new one and go back to seeing what Mark has to say for his next exercise. Boom, boom, boom.
Most of these exercises in like 10 to 15 minutes a day, or less if you have more experience. But don't hesitate to take longer if needed, especially if you haven't really drawn much before. Anyway, for day 2, you'll just need to draw 3 random shapes like these, and then give them varying thickness by drawing the same shapes but slightly offset, and joining any corners with lines all parallel to each other. On day 3, this time you'll draw 3 cylinders, each partially behind the other, and getting smaller to give the joining any corners.
Okay. So I've done this exercise before, actually. Now that I'm getting into it, like I have followed this same tutorial maybe at some point last year. This year, this is February 3rd. I haven't done any actual practice like this. I've just done like sketchbook, random stuff. But these are some exercises I have worked into sort of like a regular routine for me to mess around with. You see, my perspective is not great in comparison. Like I'm trying to do that first shape, and you see how sloppy mine is, but that's fine. Add those parallel lines, and then do the curves. A little bit of light shading. Which is a great way to just practice, again, parallel lines, and I'm totally just resting my palm on the screen like I shouldn't be. I see right here, like I could do a little more depth in this section. All right, let's copy his shape a little bit. Again, let's use the janky lines, not. Ooh, that angle is off. Angle is off. All right, a little bit better. Admittedly, I tend to be way too critical of myself. I should just kind of let it go and have more fun with this. Art used to be fun. It used to be something I used to enjoy doing. I could easily just spend a day sitting, drinking, and sketching. And honestly, my wife wasn't a big fan of that either. I'd just be sitting around relaxing, drawing, and she would, be taking care of the house and be busy, and I would just be doing my own thing. Meh, it's not terrible. Tea. Green tea with mango. I was saying I used to enjoy doing this stuff with a beer, but kind of cutting back these days. So how you doing today? Slap that Ashy. Those lines parallel. Yeah, how you liking it so far? Dun, 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 dun. How are we doing this? Are we disappearing? I think we're disappearing into the. You want to go out and then in. Got that S curve down here on that line. Get the shading. Now, Krita can be a little bit weird. If I try to go too fine with stuff, or I try to like draw a fine circle. Oh, of course, there's going to do it. No, I have been a teacher before. I've never been an art teacher. I taught STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, that sort of stuff. So what I'm doing is just following along with Mark Brunette's tutorials, if you haven't checked them out. And grab this. That is, oh, where is he? This dude. Not the best image of him.
But yeah, the idea is that you should be able to do most of these exercises in like 10 to 15 minutes a day, or less if you have more experience.
Mark Brunette. Totally recommend you check him out. These are his Learn to Draw in 30 Days tutorials. Let's go back to that shape thingy. Oh, too far, too far. Good there. And then this exercise is just drawing random shapes. That was pretty random. And mirroring the shape. Ooh. Yeah, what do you typically draw? A little bit of shading. Yeah, this could have gone out more. Just fade that in. For me, this is a lot of just practicing with Krita and using a different tip. I'm using the mechanical pencil tip, which normally if I'm drawing like analog sketchbook type stuff, I do not have my current sketchbook handy, but I use a mechanical pencil. Hey, that's one of my favorite subjects too. I got plenty of old sketches hanging above me. I actually got into game design just so I could do digital boobs. Doing a lot of weird peanut shapes. Let's go with that. That works. I don't like that. But you know you want to practice your 3D style when it comes to that stuff. Well, you get your curves to actually pop. Not bad. This is day 2. This is day 2. But this is only well, this is my second day doing it. But yesterday it was doing the practice skull at the beginning of the video, and then I just did during this stream the first exercise, which is just a circle and a square, and did a whole page of that. And you see I started off trying to do like just solid strokes and then regressed to my typical sketch method where I let my lines get good and hairy and then trust layers to let me adjust it from there. And this is the next one where again I'm starting off with these solid lines to really like practice the arm movements, and eventually I'll probably get into doing the hairier shapes. Like if I want to do what would a 3D spade look like at a slight angle? Again, see those curves. Probably draw a lot of shapes like that, huh? We add parallel lines in order to give it the depth. And we mirror some of these curves again. What would this look like? Like that. Bring that in. Krita, or Krita. It's a Krita. And I'm using the XP Pen tablet. Let's do tighter lines as we get into the details, and then as we get out to the broader sections, give them a little more space. Let's try going the opposite way. Let's do heart. Get those lines parallel. Clip Studio. I'll have to keep that in mind. Is that any good? Do you like it? They have good brushes. Tighter as we get in there, go a little broader as we come out here, go a little tighter again as we move back. Look if I can use that. They are pretty crisp. I'm using the Mojo Moo Draw expansion with this. Just draw a shape. Just draw a shape. Don't think about it too much. Just any old shape. Already doing suits of cards. And here we just do a simple box. What if, oh, what if you hollow something out in the box so it becomes less simple? Let's see. This area to be a little wider than this area. Do that down. Oh, no, that's not parallel, is it? Okay. Gotta be really crisp with it, otherwise it can get a little bit confused. You try to go like too fast, too small. I think I'm trying to input a command or something. Oh, it is. It's free. Absolutely free. Yeah, you should. It's really good. If I'm working with my tablet, I usually use Sketchbook Pro. But for like hooked up with the laptop is when I go to Krita. Because Sketchbook Pro is all about like the touch screen, whereas Krita, it doesn't have the touch screen like the finger controls. Fill that in. Let's get that line in there. Again, resting my hand on the tablet way too much. I really gotta work on building that muscle control, keeping a distance. Using the shoulder and the elbow more, not just rotating the hand. Shapes, 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 shapes. And that instinct to just rest the pinky right on the board. I want to say there is some form of animation with this. Let's see. File, new. See, comic animation templates. Yep, it's got animation templates built right in. And there's that instinct to just put the hand right on it, which is fine. It's not going to smudge or anything. I'm not going to accidentally like expand anything, but just a bad habit. Well, you see my control go downhill as I start to implement that. That's fine. Oh, gotta have that loss of control in order to gain control. Elbow up. Fuck it, let's go pinky out. Let's draw like someone who drinks tea. Yeah, cut down on the smudge. Ooh, that was rough. Yeah, it changes things up a lot when you're not doing that just pressed in method. All right. One triangle is too easy. Let's go ahead and make a whole network of them here. And all my parallel lines are like parallel with each other. I need to vary that a little bit. Doot. Oh. Doot. 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 Yeah. Let's not forget our shading. Crosshatch. Not even a crosshatch, I'm just doing lines. Oof, maybe I'll get to crosshatching later. So for right now, it's just a matter of filling the page with these shapes or whatever exercise Mark here is suggesting. Mark starts with an M. And then going on from there. He recommends just doing one a day and letting lessons marinate. Because I tend to put so long between my practices, I try to like rush through and throw in way too much. I actually got back into this because I recently released a romance novel. Because the job market sucks and I try to write, but I'm very lousy at finishing stuff. And romance novella is, well, I mean, romantasy, more accurately, is the top-selling genre. So, figured if I'm going to write anything, let's write something that actually sells these days. And then did the cover art myself because I can't afford to pay anybody. And, of course, if your book isn't selling, it's probably because your cover art isn't good enough, or the cover just isn't selling it well enough. And as soon as I post anything in like an author group and talk even slightly about how marketing is difficult, the first thing that I get from a bunch of people is, you should change your cover. You should hire a professional. Yeah, yeah, it does. Let's see. See if I can do a star. Well, I know I can do a star. It's just, will it be any good? I mean, already it feels like it's lacking perspective. Oof, not a great star. Let's do those lines. Ugh, bad curve. Yeah, they're pretty tough. I mean, for being all straight lines. It's like a super advanced square. Again, just that instinct to put the pad right on the surface. And have these lines. Those lines small. Little indent in there. Trace out that line. Well, that's not bad. Feeling a little more confident. Oh. It's not that one last line that I did. Adjusting the pen angle a little bit is helping with keeping the arm away. Oof. Let's do something in here. Oval. Boom, boom. Off kilter. Mm. Yeah, I mean, it can help as long as you got your horizon line figured out and you know where your vanishing point is. I mean that, and then using a ruler. But yeah, it can get daunting, especially the more angles you incorporate. T. Which other side am I going to see on this? Just nothing. I guess just that. Just the shape is kind of rounded and fat. Let's maintain it. And shadow out our sides. Have those drop off as it gets near the front. Ugh. It's definitely a workout just for the sitting. Let's get some more shapes. Let's fill this in some more. There we go. Something good and random. Those parallel lines thrown in. shade in our nooks. Rough. Holding the end of the pen. Oof. Just try doing inner curves. Outer edges. What else we got? Let's draw more how I actually draw. Just fuzzy lines that I can go over with a pen later in order to ink in. The first one, how it's done, that's the one that really just like sticks out in my head. Like, that's the one that just hooks me in right from the get-go. How it's done. Like that's catchy, and that was one hell of an introduction. The first time I ever saw it, I got 3 minutes into it, and I hit pause and I texted the wife like, okay, this is a pretty amazing animation. And then I texted her like 30 seconds later. I'm like, this is an amazing animation. Like it snagged me really quick. Yeah, that works. That works. Doing the sketchy loose stuff definitely works for me more than trying the solid stuff, this single strokes, but it's better exercise. My shoulder is starting to hurt. Back is stiff. Definitely gonna have to take a break when I get to the end of this exercise. If you check me out later today, I'll probably be writing. That's the other thing that I do. I do writing, I do art. Every once in a while I do some gaming, typically Warframe. Lately I have been gaming too much and watching too much TV. So I am giving myself a dopamine break today and just trying to focus on art and writing and being productive. Because again, lousy job market. I should be producing. I should be a creator, not a consumer. Yeah, falling back into my fuzzy lines. Oh, fantasy. Totally romantasy. I think romance is a ridiculous genre. Fantasy is really what I prefer. Like, I'd rather be writing heroes' journeys and epic fights and battles with demons and shit like that. But, yeah, romantasy is the top-selling genre right now. So that's why I started doing it. So my current book that I have out, link is in my description, is Drowning the Lonely Isle. Here it is in paperback, and it's about Prince Garrett and a mermaid. So, yeah, that's the current series that I'm writing right now. I'm working on the sequel to this. I actually released it January 9th of this year is when it got published. And I kind of reversed the trope. Typically in a romance novel, as I understand it, I don't read them. She, the female lead, will fall in love with a monster or a businessman or some, it's got to be a pirate or a werewolf or a vampire or some bad boy that's like, I can change him. I just started posting stuff on TikTok. I'm trying to figure that out. TikTok and Instagram, because there's Book Talk and there's Bookstagram, which are avenues of those social media platforms for books and reading. I'm just starting to get into that because writing is easy compared to marketing. And as an author, even if I had a publisher, I would still have to market stuff myself. So I'm trying. I'm working on it. I need to get a copy of this to my wife and have her start doing videos of like reaction videos of reading stuff and posting snippets and creating artwork for it. And yeah, all that fun stuff. But I try to do at least one post a day. Any more than that, I risk burnout. And it's been out now for a little over 3 weeks. I've managed to sell a whole 10 copies. Well, okay, 9. And then I'm on Kindle Unlimited, so people are reading my stuff a little bit. Like someone has read, or a couple people have read like a whole 29 pages today so far. I'm trying to get over that hurdle where people have actually read it and left reviews that are not family members or people I went to school with. But like I said, I subvert the genre a little bit where, you know, the lady falls in love with some sort of monster, some sort of animal man or something like that. And here it's a mermaid. So it's kind of like Beauty and the Beast mixed with the Little Mermaid. But the monster, the beast, is the female lead as opposed to the male lead. Because one of the things that I understand talking to female readers that they enjoy about romance novels or romantasy novels is they get the male perspective because they don't have access to that in their real life. So they get to know, like, what is he thinking? So I stay firmly locked in my protagonist's perspective, where it's all from the male perspective. I don't bother with the female perspective at all. I try to keep her more mysterious, potentially villainous. Yeah, I actually saw a blurb about that. My wife sent me an ad, I guess, social media ad about a mafia style book, just to give me a sense as to how to promote stuff. I wrote with the perspective of what girl doesn't want to be a mermaid. So I try to create a fantastical female lead that women would willingly want to put themselves in the shoes of. I don't know if I could write a mafia boss one. Like, I'm not really big into The Godfather or anything like that. And what I like about fantasy is you can discuss philosophy a little bit more open. Because, like I said, I prefer fantasy action type stuff. Really, I prefer like the Joseph Campbell, Jordan Peterson, like philosophical approach to mythology, where you're posing a question, you're making a statement of mind. Because, like, if I were to take this book where, you know, someone is rescued by a mermaid and trapped on a tropical island by her, that's misery. And if I was doing actual people, it would get really dark really fast. But you can do things in fantasy that aren't really socially acceptable in a real setting. So it's a fun place to play. Like, you can go a bit darker. You can make people, they don't have to be like metaphorical monsters. You can make them literal monsters. Okay. Yeah. So this is definitely helping, giving myself permission and space to just be fuzzy in how I do stuff. Now I'm going to worry about like the strict lines with the altered pen hold method. Roundy, roundy. Let's see if I can successfully make this look like it's curved. Yeah. Oh, that just naturally feels a little bit better. Sloppy as hell, but feels better. Oh, that was weird. This line that just popped up right here, that weird angle, that was some emergent, like, technical stuff. Oof. Talking mermaids. A little bit more of a, ooh, an attempt at a mermaid tail. Not proud of that. Actually, let's go ahead and play with the tail shape I got on the back here. Resting the palm. Coming out. Curving down. Curving in. I realize I totally should have tried that the other way for the sake of the challenge. Let's try inverting that somewhere if I can find space. Let's try this. Thank you. It turned out decent. That. Let's go with that. That. Go with that. Can I squeeze anything else in? I can totally squeeze more stuff in. See, I did a spade, I did a heart, I did a diamond hollowed out. Let's see. Oh yeah, clubs. Oh, okay, that's kind of a club shape. More of a cloud shape. Let's hand resting on the monitor, going slow, not joining up the parts properly. Oof. Yeah, I just feel like the angle is a little bit weird when it comes to this tablet as well. Like the nib and the cursor don't really line up as well as I would like them to. It's probably my biggest complaint and why I don't use this tablet more, but I feel like I just need to keep practicing, not be afraid of doing fuzzy lines, not be afraid of redoing my lines as much as I need to get them right. Go ahead and draw into my shapes. Ah! See, and that's one of the things that I hate about using Krita. Like weird lines, it doesn't like if I do, what is it, a tight circle or something like that. There's a certain motion that I'll pull off, or maybe it's a double tap. Nope, I'm not sure. I'm not even sure why that comes up. But all of a sudden I'll get the HUD. And that interface. Trying to do the letter E, but that totally inverted. Yeah, I can see that. But a lot of that stuff is really expressive and sort of impulsive and very experimental. Got to be very slow and intentional to get all those shade lines in. Practice a little more of the cross lines in there. And I think I'm going to call it plenty sore right now. I feel like this is good practice. I'm going to be back in tomorrow, but I got to walk the dog and eat. Hungry, I need lunch. So thanks so much for stopping in, Slap That Ashy. I appreciate you. I really do. Give yourself a great day, and maybe I'll see you later as I'm doing my second writing session of the day. All right. Peace out, people. Later.